r/Askreddit. What can kill you that people often underestimate? Fridges and vending machines. Don't climb them or shake them. Electricity. Very dangerous, but people just mess with it. Taking the wrong meds together. That's why you should always let your doctors know what meds you make have been prescribed by other doctors. Cause mixing side effects generally tends to be pretty dangerous. And it's an even bigger problem for non-prescription meds because usually no one tells you that you shouldn't take them together. Edit. Since everyone is saying that and I didn't think of it before, so thank you for pointing it out, I want to add here that pharmacists usually know more about the interactions of the meds than your doctor. Especially since, as I said, your doctor can't see what other doctors might have prescribed you. Edit 2. Another thing I didn't know. Be careful with grapefruit. Also alcohol, but I think that should be common knowledge. And some meds react badly to milk as well, I think. Loneliness. I'm not trying to be deep or profound or whatever. Loneliness makes me wanna blow my brains out. For some reason people don't tend to think that a car can kill you. Edit. Row. I didn't thought it would become this big of a deal. But I'm glad that everyone agrees that safety is no joke. I was actually on a car accident when a drunk driver crashed me while I was on my bike. It wasn't anything serious. My jacket and helmet took the worst part. But it's scary to think that for just dumb luck I made it. A little too early or a little too late and death. So always stay safe. Rules can be a pain in the ass sometimes. But they are there for a reason. And it's not to break them. Don't speed on yellow. Especially if it's a intersection. Don't get cocky just because you are on the highway. You can and will lose control of the vehicle. Stay safe. And be responsible. Edit 2. When I say bike, I mean motorcycle. Tylenol overdose. The difference between typical dose and dangerous overdose is surprisingly few pills. A teaspoon of water in the lungs can cause a person to drown. That small amount of water can trigger laryngospasm, closing off the airway. I think with its increasing prevalence, people underestimate type 2 diabetes. I could be wrong. Maybe people have a solid fear of it. But it is truly terrible. It affects everything. From kidney function, your veins, which in turn affects your eyes and can cause blindness and reduces blood flow everywhere. And can cause neuropathy and cause you to lose some of the feeling in your extremities. It can also raise your risk for high blood pressure, which has a whole other bunch of problems that comes with that. And probably more things that I'm forgetting. When I was taking anatomy and physiology classes, every time diabetes came up I was like, man, this disease sucks. It was the first thing to pop into my head when I saw this thread because a patient of ours in the office I work at just suddenly died of it. The family was in shock from what I heard. Pancreatitis. I was 17 and told my mom my stomach hurt and asked if I could stay home from school, to which she said no. So I skipped and went over to my then boyfriend's house because his mom worked from home and I felt like death and didn't want to be alone. I was throwing up so much I got really dehydrated and passed out. She took me to my mom's work and explained that I'd come over to her house and I was obviously ill and my mom should take me to the doctor. My mom took me to the walk-in clinic, they gave me nausea meds via shot and sent me home. That night I start running fever and can't get it to break. My dad, who is very easygoing and calm, finally puts me in the car and takes me to ER. CT scan showed my pancreas close to rupturing. I was admitted and had to stay almost 2 weeks in the hospital with no food or water. Everything through IV. It's suiduct. The morphine did little to help. My mom still thinks I was just being dramatic. Choking on your food. Eat more slowly. Chew your food, people, it won't run away from you. Slipping in the shower. A loved one can just snap and murder you because of a small thing. High tension lines. I see people put their faith into lines so tight that it would cut them in two if it snapped the wrong way. Stairs. One minor misstep and it's really easy to fall. Garage door springs. My boss's one broke last weekend. And it put a hole in his trunk and ceiling. It took 3 of us to raise the door without the spring. They're under a ton of pressure. A slip and fall. The earth kills so many people because apparently slamming your head into something hard is pretty disadvantageous to life. Antibiotic resistance. You don't need an antibiotic every time you're sick. I promise. You have a 1 in 100,000 chance of dying during a dance party. Surprisingly, this is higher than the risk of dying while skydiving. Source. Compressed air. Does not take a lot to puncture your skin and create an air bubble in your bloodstream. This is especially bad if it makes it to your heart, as it essentially explodes your heart. Edit. Exploding heartbeat was exaggerated. But in worst case scenarios, the air bubble will cause your heart to stop. Falling asleep on the toilet and smashing your head on the tile. After working 12 hours shifts 14 days in a row. It nearly happened to me. Luckily we had a bath mat, so I just got a minor head wound. A small drop of dirty water seriously put me in a coma and destroyed my life. Hitting your skull on concrete. An adult human is just about the perfect height where the fall alone can cause death. If you also add an acceleration from a punch or throw, or the uneven surface of streets with all the extra raised edges around, it gets even worse. Do not fight unless the life of you or somebody close to you depends on it. Because you or the one you're fighting might simply trip and fall badly, and then one of you will be dead. Bison. They kill more Yellowstone tourists than bears do. Viruses and preventable diseases. People tend to think they can't be infected unless the news hyper illness like seriously wash your hands after taking public transport. Water. Pools. Lakes. Etc. People forgot how easily their children or themselves can get into trouble while they are near the water. I've noticed that people seem to think that stress cannot kill you. The more stress you endure, the higher your cortisol levels rise, leaving you more susceptible for a heart attack or a stroke. Take the stupid day off to rest, man. Texting and driving. Asthma. It's not just a little breathing trouble fixed with a puffer. It's a killer, and it doesn't care how young and healthy you are otherwise. A sedentary lifestyle. Just because it doesn't kill you now doesn't mean it isn't waiting. Like you. Waiting for it to kill you. Botox. Botox is the most lethal poison in the world. Not when injected for your face, but when ingested. If you ingest about 0.00007 milligrams of Botox, it would be lethal and kill you. Being born is a certain death sentence. A fucking pencil. Dehydration. Driving. People take that 2,000-pound death machine for granted. Edit. Holy shit everyone. The exact weight is not that important. The point is that it's fucking heavy. Cows. Flare gun. Treat it the same as a handgun. A moose. Alcohol. Slowly. Overhydration. Everyone knows dehydration can kill you in a matter of days. But few people know that overhydration is just as deadly. People think it's just water, but drinking too much water causes your cells to swell up, including brain cells. Brain swelling is very, very bad. Not to mention the fact that it throws off your body's electrolyte balance. There have been stories of kids dying due to overhydration, either because they were dared to drink a bunch of it or a babysitter made them drink it as a punishment, or other factors. It can happen to marathon runners who consume too much because of how hydration is pushed. Or even military recruits. So take Uncle Rob's advice. Hydrate with whiskey like a real man. Riptides. One of the most dangerous situations for a beachgoer. Looks harmless. But if you are in it, it is extremely dangerous. Swimming against it can tire even the most capable swimmers. The correct thing to do is to swim perpendicular, away from it, till you get out of it. Water buckets kill about 20 toddlers per year in the US. It happens when they inspect the bucket only to fall in head first. It's a very small risk relative to other dangers. But it's not zero. Skittles. I had a choking scare when I was like 11 and I was home alone and watching TV while eating Skittles. I like to put a bunch in my mouth and make like a Skittle ball that I would chew on. Something on the show I was watching made me laugh and I swallowed the ball and it got lodged in my throat. I then experienced a few seconds of sheer terror because I realized that there was nobody here to help me at all and I was probably gonna die. Then I remembered some cartoon or something where someone jammed their stomach on a chair and got something unstuck from their throat. So I lunged at the corner of the recliner as hard as I could with my stomach and it actually worked and popped the small ball out. It was super lucky because I really had no idea what I was doing. But one of the worst feelings I have ever experienced. Definitely never ate Skittles that way again after that. Alcohol withdrawal can lead to death. It's viewed as more socially acceptable than most drugs. But alcohol withdrawal is one of the few drugs that the withdrawal can kill a person. Chimpanzees. They are only about 3 feet tall. But they are astronomically stronger than people. Easily able to rip a grown man apart if they so choose. The flu. I'm a pulmonary critical care doctor. The news is full of fear about the coronavirus in China, which has infected several thousand and killed several hundred. The flu in the US alone last year caused 35 million infections, 500,000 hospitalizations, and nearly 35,000 deaths. That was a pretty tame year. I was working in the ICU last week and we had 3 people under 40 who may well die from the flu. Today in the office I had 2 people wearing masks who'd stocked up their home for a month die of fear of coronavirus, but hadn't had a flu shot. This virus is seriously underestimated annually. Every year I watch people die. Most of them older, but also otherwise young and healthy people. Threatening to tell the FBI about all the famous people you trafficked girls for. I almost died from carbon monoxide poisoning 2 days ago. I spent about 2 days just passing out in my bed. I was so tired. Eventually somebody smelled gas. Because I couldn't. So they called the energy company who had somebody there maybe 30 minutes later. Her CO meter was going off as she walked up to the door before it was even open. She said open windows and leave right now. That was when I realized I had been passing out for 2 days. And in such awkward positions that my back was sore as hell. So I got to the hospital and my resting heart rate was about 130. And I was told my skin was an off color. But other than passing out I felt no symptoms. I didn't notice my heart rate was so high because it wasn't accompanied by heavy breathing like usual. I was the only one home most of the time. I might never have woke up if that had continued for much longer. Coconuts. Spring forward to daylight saving time apparently. One single punch. If you eat 40 kilograms of chocolate you'll die. Wrestling with your little brother. One awkward angle and his spine and skull break and crack leaving you with a corpse. Play safe. Bearing down to move your bowels. When I was a paramedic I used to find people dead on or next to the toilet with one floating in the bowl. When you bear down it stimulated your vagal nerve and that slows down the heart. Sometimes a bit too slow. I'm sure there are exceptions. But everyone I ever encountered that went out that way was in their 50s or older. Getting punched by an adult as an adult. People have seen too many movies shows where people are shrugging off damage and also remember not having issues as children when they scrapped. An adult male's punch is far more lethal because of their fully grown bone density and the further distance for your adult body to fall. Someone threatening violence on you. Even if no weapons are involved, though always a good idea to assume they are. Means they are willing to risk killing you and must therefore act accordingly. A bite from a human being. If it breaks the skin, that risks possible infection from a variety of dangerous microbes. Brush your damn teeth. Poor mental health. People always underestimate this. Lack of nutrients and vitamins. The common flu. The estimated death toll from the flu in the 2017 to 2018 season in the US was 61,000. With 810,000 cases severe enough to require hospitalization. A cavity can lead to sepsis. Edit with some more awesome info. Aguafestis doesn't even need to be an abscess. Bacteria from the mouth can temporarily enter the bloodstream and lead to infection of the heart valves, endocarditis. This can also happen in people with good oral hygiene, but poor oral hygiene increases the risk. Mental illness. Going to bed drunk. Transfer trucks. People just don't seem to understand how dangerous it is to be too close to one on the road. Matching speeds next to one puts you in danger of being crushed if any number of things, a blown tire, an avoidance maneuver, hydroplaning, or straight up being in their blind spot, cause a truck to swerve or lose control. Following too closely is a good way to get a tire tread through your windshield if one comes apart. And cutting them off can almost guarantee you'll be injured and easily killed. If you have to hit the brakes hard, that truck can be over 80,000 pounds. It takes a lot longer to get stopped than your car. Just give trucks room. For your sake and the other drivers. Electricity. A small amount of current can stop your heart. I heard as low as 0.005 amps can stop your heart. A normal receptacle handles 15 to 20 amps and most household appliances draw enough that if you get caught with it and didn't cross your heart you may be out of luck. Not washing your hands. Friend of mine caught staph and it turned into a very scary thing very fast. When she asked how she could have avoided it, the doctor said wash your hands. I'm not posting this because of coronavirus, but poor hygiene can result in many infections that can increase your chance of death in ways you'd never imagine. Ear infection. Poor oral hygiene can lead to this. Got you feeling a bit dizzy? You are more likely to die in a car accident now. Or falling down things. This goes for many other things like getting pink eye from bad hygiene or catching viruses from not washing your hands. Clean yourself, people. Heart disease. So, go take a walk. 1000 bananas. Any mild disease from the common flu to a common infection, sinusitis, amygdalitis, etc. Under the right circumstances, any of them can develop into a sepsis, a serious condition that can often have symptoms that are ignored as part of the beginning disease, such as fever, shivering, fatigue, accelerated heart rate, etc. If you let it be, your body will keep on producing white globules to fight the infection. This means you will inflame it from the inside out, coagulating your blood and slowly depriving your organs from nutrients and oxygen. Through the course of days or even many weeks, one or more organs will fail and you will die. Take care of that cold, folks. Bacteria. Appendicitis. Dad told me to man up, shut up and deal with it. And to fix my diet. And that it was just a stomach cramp that everyone gets. I'm on the smaller side and pretty fit. If I had followed that advice I would have been dead by the next day. Had emergency surgery. He was giving me that lecture again when the doctor walked in and shut down every single point. Edit. My dad wasn't told it was appendicitis until after the surgery. He was upset and didn't show up until then. The doctor corrected him and he did apologize. Since he had appendicitis when he was the same age. And when he was younger a neighbor of his had died from it. A neighbor of my mom's also died from it. Ironically she's the one who says man up now and my dad is the chill parent. Your friends and family. If you get murdered, it is more likely to be one of them than a stranger. Lack of sleep. It will do you in. And lower your life quality until it does. Large bodies of water. The ocean wins every time. A river will win every time. Our bodies are weak and small compared to the sheer weight density of flowing water. Even still water is dangerous. I had a good friend who drowned 2 years ago. He was 22 and fit as a fiddle. I would describe him as athletic and trim. He died in a small lake in southern Utah swimming around. We think he got a cramp and drowned that way, but there's no way to know for sure. Water always wins if you don't take it seriously. Even then there's no guarantee.